Good afternoon, good morning, good night. From wherever you are, this is PNR for Thursday, May 30th. This is your weekly fix. I'm Rob Acampora. We got a lot going on today as we'll have Hollywood and politics meshing together, a sports superstar and her problems. Plus, it wouldn't be us if we didn't go Royals on you. But first, we got to bring in our panel before we get anywhere. And this is the first question to get us started. Rick Paul, what color is your tie?
Black.
There we go. I like the purple. Everything meshed. You are so coordinated, and you're going to have to give me some tips because I got to start looking better here. I'm telling you. That's tough. Going out to the West Coast of the United States, a man who has a chart for everything except my winning lottery numbers, Thor Sandalwood. At some point, you got to give me those numbers. I
Rob,
can't selling.
We're the one and only psychic news report, and I'm excited to bring us the latest psychic breaking news.
And finally, the fortune cookie girl herself, it's Annabelle. What's up?
I'm doing good. I just want to give everybody a heads up on the poll. Not one person picked black. We had 45% picked green, 36% picked peach, and 18% picked white. So we're going to have to work on our psychic skills for our viewers here.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you're picking peach, you're in the wrong place. The farms down the road, that's where you pick your peaches. Just so we get that out of the way. All right, panel, we got a lot to get into like we do every week. So if you're ready, here we go, because we're bringing out a big name out of the gate. And that first name is a guy who, in Hollywood, yeah, you know him from a few things. But he allowed his little Goodfellas persona to come out a little bit on Tuesday when he was outside the New York City courtroom where 45's espionage trial was going on. Robert De Niro was quoted outside the court as saying this: "This is the time to stop him," referring to 45, "by voting him out once and for all. We don't want to wake up after the election saying, 'What, again? My God, what the hell have we done?'" De Niro recently did a commercial, by the way, in support of the current president, was using the media coverage in front of the court to push the message for the Democrats. Now, on one level, it's a great way to get your message out there. You know the media has been swarming all over the New York court to get, the attention of what's going on. So De Niro takes advantage of that, being that he happens to live in New York City. So it's asking an interesting question. For De Niro, is this a concerned citizen? Is this a career fail? Now, if I'm going to think a career fails, I'll bring up 4 movies right away that's a career fail. But we won't do that out of respect for the man who's done The Godfather, who has done Goodfellas, and Casino, a lot of great movies. But we'll separate the actor from the human being right now. Annabelle, I know you're shuffling. I know that look. You're looking down. You're making sure nothing gets sloppied anywhere.
I love that sloppy shuffle. You know that. So I did talk about this on my live, and I have a feeling that this is not really a great look for him. Let's put it that way. And to be sure, I'm Italian. I am a De Niro fan. You guys know that. I'm mostly Italian. Let's put it that way. So,
and the funny thing is, you're saying it wasn't a great look, and yet I watched the video. I mean, he seemed very composed and in control when he was giving the message that he was giving. But whether or not the message is going to fall on deaf ears or whether or not it's going to paint him in a different light is where we're concentrating on right now.
So absolutely, he was composed. He looked good. He did have the speech written down, though. So
Yes,
that tells me that this is a contrived effort that, intellectually, not psychically, tells me it was a contrived effort instead of a heartfelt effort. I'm one of those people. I was a big Matt Damon fan, and I found myself saying shut up and act for a long time with him. I just want my actors to stay acting. I don't want to know their politics. I don't want to know my musicians' politics either. I want you to perform, monkey perform. I just want them to do what they do. I know. Isn't that terrible? I'm such an elitist, right?
Yeah, but based on that theory, then you're not allowed to make tequila like Sammy Hagar does.
Oh, no,
like
I didn't
George
say that.
Clooney
Make
does.
all the tequila you want.
Oh,
you can
okay.
make all
As
the
long as
tequila
we got
you
the
want.
boundary set. There you go. Thank you.
I think when we get into the realm of thought management or architecture or thought architecture, when you already have an influential position, I think we get into some very dangerous territory. If you want to be a politician, be a politician. Don't be a puppet of a politician, a marketing puppet. That's just my feeling about it. If you want to promote products, so be it. That's a paid performance. Do we know that this is a paid performance or not? So I'm going to pull up my cards. Yeah. See what I'm saying? See where I'm going with this one? So I'm going to pull up some cards now. So I do think that there's going to be a lot of judgment on this from the powers that be. You know, the Hierophant for me always winds up being the powers that be. So seats of power, Hollywood, the Kremlin, Washington, D.C., your PTA, your Board of Education, if you're talking about schools and things like that. I think that Hollywood is going to say, oh, good on you, fella. Good on you. This is great. We're so glad you're speaking out. We're going to talk a little bit later in Quick Hits about Lady Gaga, too, because Lady Gaga is another one who has a lot to say about politics. She was at the inauguration for Joe Biden, and she has a lot to say about this particular election as well. I think the powers that be are in full support of him. However, this is a zero Fs kind of feeling. You know, he's just not going to care. But the reality is, where does the bread and butter come from? The bread and butter comes from the public. He really rolled the dice on whether there was a majority rule in favor of 45 going to jail, being convicted of this. He really rolled the dice. Now, something very interesting came out last night. Kevin Costner actually had offered him a role and was giving him about $30 million for that role. And he has pulled that role back overnight. So that role has been taken away from him. So he is losing work. And that's our Queen of Swords here. That Wheel of Fortune, when it flips over, now we're talking about bad stuff a coming. Did he jump off the cliff here like our fool with all good intent? Yeah, I think he did. I think there was a good portion of his belief system that's behind this. I don't think he's paid for play. I don't think he's secretly a 45 lover and he just said, well, give me the money and I'll go out there and say a bunch of things. I think he believes some of this, but I also think that there was some influence from seats of power for him to do this. Unfortunately, when we get that 10 of Swords in reverse, this is like, yeah, man, you're not coming back. You know, and again, this breaks my heart because I do love his career work from Meet the Fockers to The Godfather, which I just watched for the first time being a bad Italian. You know, Goodfellas is one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. You know, this is a disappointment. I'm a little bit sad that he is doubling down. I know he's very vocal during the last election. I'm a little bit sad that he's being super vocal about it. We don't need anybody stoking any fires. We don't need anybody adding to the flame that is our political system in the United States right now. But that is how I feel. And that is what my cards are saying here. So I defer to one of my fellow psychics here. Anybody else want to fire off?
Well, I'm sure Thor's got some kind of chart on this about De Niro. Come on now, Thor.
I do. I have an astrology chart. I wanted to ask my fellow panelist. Now, I didn't watch the diatribe that De Niro gave, but what exactly was he saying? Was he saying that he wants 45 to end up in jail, or what was essentially the context? Do any of you? Did you guys watch it?
I'll take this to a degree. What was going on was when he was outside and he was delivering his speech, and yes, he had it, you know, not necessarily written down as Annabelle says, but it was there on his phone. You could tell he was reading off of that, which is understandable. But the point he was trying to bring out is, yes, he is supporting Joe Biden. He is supporting the current president. He's even got a commercial that will be running for the next several months that has him and his voice expressing the support of the current president. But he was also bringing out the point of why you should not be voting for 45 in this situation. Again, I'll give you another bit of the quote that I said before. Quote, "We do not want to wake up after the election saying, what, again? My God, what the hell have we done?" So you can tell where he's at, where he stands. And yes, he was taking advantage of the fact that every major news outlet was in front of this courtroom. So you got an attentive audience.
And if I may, he also said if 45 gets in, we're never getting rid of him. That was something
he did say that. Yes, he did.
There's a little bit of you know, fear mongering there.
He's implying that it's going to be. I see.
Yeah, and where you're going, Annabelle, that would be a whole different read for a whole different time, because there is, I will say this, I really believe there is a large chunk that believe that, and a large chunk that say, are you crazy? and it's getting close to that 50-50 range when you think about that question.
Well, I'll be more than happy to bring up the chart. Let me
Please do.
to bring you the latest psychic breaking news here. Let's go ahead and bring up the chart. All right. Now, when I look at Robert De Niro's chart, one of the things I wanted to bring up was the planetary timeline he's on. In Vedic astrology, we talk about planetary timelines, and he's on a timeline called K2 right now. It's right over here if we take a look at the chart.
Mm-hmm.
K2 is basically it represents past lives, it represents dissolving influences, and it's in the 8th house, which I find kind of interesting when I look at the chart of Robert De Niro here. K2 can be like, for example, when I think of K2, it can be like nil effect, like making your statement thinking that there's going to be this massive effect with your statement and it not really having any impact whatsoever on the course of what's happening with the trial with 45, right, or even with national politics. With K2, there's a certain amount of illusion there. Like somebody can be a little bit under delusion, like they think they're more influential than they are. And I'm trying to be impartial about this, by the way. I love Robert De Niro's movies. I love Goodfellas. Give me some mob movies. I love watching those.
He's fantastic.
I love
upsetting.
But yeah, I feel like there's nil effect. Also with K2 in the what I want to bring up, K2 in the 8th house. 8th house can represent things like propaganda. You brought up the fact that he was reading from a phone or reading from like a script.
Yes.
And the 8th house has to do with propaganda that's designed to influence people's perceptions. It's designed to influence people's consciousness. So, was he being told by some sort of, handler or higher power, hey, put out these statements, you're a big name, everyone knows you from Goodfellas. The chart would show, but I also want to put out there the chart also shows with K2 being involved that there's not a lot of influence there. It's kind of like a shot in the dark.
Well, allow me to spin back on you a little bit since you brought up propaganda in the charts. In part of his speech, he did talk about how propaganda was being influenced by his rise to power, that the propaganda machine brought other dictators into the rise of power. He was using that comparable. So is it possible that could be the spin in another direction as far as that goes? Can you see that potentially in the chart?
Yeah, he's definitely trying to switch the narrative. So, and I think both political parties are going to be doing this. To be honest, I think the Republicans and the Democrats are both going to be spinning this narrative of, even from the Republican side, they're probably going to be saying, well, look at everything Biden is doing. He's going to be a dictator and I think they're both going to be pointing fingers at each other. So, yeah, but I think there's an old saying with propaganda. It's who gets the narrative out first wins, right? Because you're the first one to put out the allegation or the narrative and you have the most influence. So maybe De Niro's trying to get that narrative out from right out of the gate. Like, let's get the narrative that, this is a bad news. 45 is going to be a dictator, whatever the script is.
Well, what's interesting? Anytime we talk about American politics and I go to Rick Paul, who really doesn't have a horse in this race whatsoever, and I'm going to bet the over-under on the number of De Niro movies he's seen is 4. This ought to be good. Rick, what do you got?
Have we still got the spread there, Annabelle? Because I'm sat here and it's just like this thing just sort of going through my mind at the moment is just, it's brilliant. It's like Stars and Stripes, and we were speaking about wrestling promos before we came on air.
That's
right.
True.
Over here, when your guys come over here and they do the wrestling tours, they're quite surprised how vocal the English crowd is compared to the American crowd. Mm-hmm. So without swearing too much, when we was asked what my opinion was on what he's done, he effed up. He effed up. What he's basically done is he's overestimated his value and his sort of station in life. If self-importance was a cologne, he would drown in it because it's just coming across. And like you said, I have seen probably 3 or 4. I tend to watch people doing impressions of him and watching his reactions, which I find absolutely hysterical.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
But as a political commentator, when I'm looking at that, I'm thinking, mate, stay in your lane. Just stay in your lane. The people out there, and I've got this strange image going through my mind as well when you're talking about the script and things like that, of Scrooge McDuck, right, going along to the counting house to have a look where his finances are. And just maybe using another analogy from the wrestling, that controversy creates cash. So was he asleep when this offer came in to go out there and do this diatribe? Did he knock a pile of scripts to get off on the floor and he's picked them all up and there's this mixture that's come out and everybody's gone, we gave him a live microphone here. I think we screwed up here, and he's come out with whatever he's come out with, which for me makes no sense whatsoever. It's got
I have a question for you, Rick, if you don't mind me asking. Do you believe that Robert De Niro, does he believe what he's saying, or do you think that it was just a script he was given and he's just reading off whatever he's being told? I just wanted to know what your thought was on that.
100% with that somebody's sort of prodded him, poked him, whatever, and he's gone all lovey on us. If he was over here, darling, we would be stepping up on stage and we would be giving a rebuttal. And I just think that he's made a grave mistake there. And looking at the cards there, the cards back me up on this, that he's sort of gambled that his reputation and his standing in society is enough to turn people to have a look at it. When I'm looking at those cards there with all of those swords in that, now that I'm learning
a new spread, Rick, just so you know, I threw some new cards because I cleaned them up a little too quickly. Sorry about that.
Well, don't worry, but we were looking at the judgment card there, and that's the torchlight, isn't it? That's the hallelujah moment where we're in that spotlight, and we were talking about the Queen of Swords. Well, when the Queen of Swords comes in, she's the battle axe. She's going to sort of clear the pathways and things like that. Anything to do with the Three of Swords, for me, whether it's in the upright or the reverse position, is all about heartbreak.
Yeah, we did get it again.
That his thoughts are going to cost him, like emotional support, or those people that are on the fence, if you like. And then we've got another reversal card there. So I'm looking at this and going, yes, he's been prompted and provoked and called to action, but he screwed up big style. This will cost him not only like votes for popularity, but also financially. And personally, as I'm sat there and I've explained my viewpoint, and you put this lovely there, that I have no particular interest, so I don't understand politics. So I throw my tennis ball out, and as it comes back in and I catch it, I'm just going like this. I just want to cover my eyes, because I think on reflection, when he looks back at all of this, he will realise to his detriment what an idiot he's made himself look at. I said in some of the earlier broadcasts about being the post turtle. Nobody quite knows how he got to where he is, but he's going to regret being up there, because, as I was told recently, darlings, if you're going to put your head above the parapet, be prepared to be shot at. So he's in the brown stuff, and it's going to hit the whirly thing. That's my assessment of it, and that's where I'll leave it.
And I will take the last word on this, because not often I can actually do something. Leave the cards up there for me for a second there, Anna. I want to go back to I don't get to do this that often, so I'm going to try a spin. Bear with me. And Rick is excited about this. Yes. You bring up the Three of Swords. Please point that out to everybody one more time.
Right there.
We're talking about heartbreaking disappointment. Here's my spin on the heartbreaking disappointment. That the result of the election will not go the way De Niro and many want it to go.
Breaking news, breaking psychic news. Rob Acampora of the A Game with Rob Acampora is becoming psychic. Only just working with us, and he is becoming psychic. So
he's learning how to read those cards.
Become psychic too.
It was, like I said, I have one moment. Just mark it down, and if you're keeping score at home, that's one. But more importantly, I don't know what is scarier right now. The cologne Rick mentioned, the fact that we have De Niro as Scrooge McDuck, or I read the Three of Swords. You decide on that whole thing. And final word, knowing De Niro's politics and knowing where he stands, I really do believe he meant every word that he said. Yeah, it's probably more difficult for him to wing it off the cuff. So he had it in front of him just to get the words out. And to me, what he showed was control. Because De Niro is a guy, and Annabelle, you'll vouch for this, he can be a bit of a hothead. He can come across that way. So the fact that he showed so much restraint and control in front of the media, I think it painted him in a good light. But the end result, only time's going to tell. And that's where, over the next few months, I'm sure we're going to have more moments with more celebrities and more as we get closer to that election day in November. But since we're still in New York and we still got the trial going on, they're still deliberating right now as we're talking.
Oh, wow.
If there is a second day deliberations, if anything breaks, we will let you know here on PNR. So it was 4 hours on day one. Now, this is day two. This could take days. It could take weeks. I am setting the bar right now. Here we go. Second psychic moment. The over-under, June 6th. I'm saying that's the over-under. That sometime right around June 6th is when they're going to go in there and say, look, we've been in here long enough. Let's figure this out. And again, keep in mind, he doesn't have to be guilty on every charge. This could be one of those, he's found guilty of, let's say, 2/3 of the things against him. And 1/3 they say, nope, he's off on that. I don't think we're going to get the hung jury after all. But I'm not the psychic. You guys, time for you to go to work.
So just to be clear, one of the readings that I did the other day, I think we're gonna hear a verdict Tuesday. Tuesday is my day. I can put up a poll. A poll. I'll put up a poll in just a minute.
Please do.
You're saying June 6th. I'm saying Tuesday, which is
so it'll be June 4th. You're going 2 days earlier.
2 days earlier. Well, I'm younger than you. So we can put up a poll on this one, but so what do we want to do the spread on? Do we want to do the spread on?
Will we see him in an orange jumpsuit?
Okay, sounds good to me.
It's not a good look for anybody. Just let's get that.
No, darling, I think I can carry it off.
Well, wait a minute, Rick Paul.
That is going to be a weird
orange tie moment, flame waistcoat, orange shirt. Yeah, I can do that.
All right.
On a future broadcast. Even with a green screen.
I'm just trying to figure out how are they going to do the Secret Service, him in an orange jumpsuit. How does that and the campaign?
If that happens, I'm just trying to figure out how they're getting his fast food. That's all I'm trying to figure out. If he's in a orange jumpsuit.
This spread is kind of exciting. So I want to clarify the question that was asked.
Please do.
Will we see 45 in an orange jumpsuit?
And we're not talking like Rick Paul just putting it on just because he can.
We're not talking about a nice orange tie and vest.
And once I do this, I'm going to put up a poll on when you think we're going to get a verdict. So you ready, guys?
Perfect.
Here we go.
Oh, look at that spread.
Oh, it's a spread.
Are we going to see him in a jumpsuit?
Wait a minute. The Three of Swords shows up again? Wow. Card's getting a lot of action today.
Yeah,
wow.
It is.
So tower.
I'm saying this is a tremendous disappointment that for the people that are anxious to see him in this jumpsuit, we're not getting it. This baby boy that they planted is not going to be birthed. We're not getting it. We planted a bush. We're not getting one. We're not getting one. It's not happening. He's well too protected. He's way too much invested that's going to show that he's not. Now, one of the things that I do want to clarify, there were no charges read to this jury. So there's a problem with that in court situations, because when the charges are read to at the beginning of the trial, you just automatically are looking for those bits of information that are going to apply to the charges. So when we don't read charges to a jury at the beginning of the trial, they're kind of swimming in an ocean of data that's coming through in terms of testimony. So, they were really at a disadvantage. It really was a little bit difficult for them. I think the data that they've pulled has been not connecting. It's just not connecting to a guilty verdict. This tower card, Rob, I'm going to test you here.
Okay.
Tower card. What's that all about?
You're saying the what card now?
The tower card.
The tower card.
This
On
guy
thi-
right here.
Well,
Lightning strikes.
let's just play it just by logic and me being a non-psychic. Being that 45 is in his tower and he is above everything else, and you talk about protection, if I'm interpreting what you're saying, is that with all of the charges, and there are numerous ones, and he's going to walk away completely not guilty, not be charged on any one of the charges, and he goes back on the road and starts campaigning.
I think that's going to happen. I think
Wow.
we are going to find out that all of these charges here, you see all these charges that are in this 10 of Swords?
There we go.
All those charges, they look like they're going to stick here to the novice. But this is, remember, we're reading, are we going to see him in an orange jumpsuit? The charges are not going to stick. Something big is going to blow this whole sucker up, and we're not going to see this. And down here, under the surface, everybody's going to be disappointed at it. Their little plan did not get hatched. This trial by whatever did not get hatched. So that's the way I see it. I'm going to leave that spread up in case anybody wants to talk about it. But I'm anxious to know what my colleagues have to say.
Well, you had already clicked on Rick, so we got to stay there. Somehow your hand was kind of leaning toward the man, and I know, Rick, you're looking at the cards, but more on the feel here, because I know you're informed enough. On this, everybody's got a little bit of some kind of information, so what is your senses telling you?
Well, whether we like this or not, guys out there, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, money talks. And everything that I read and observe about the man, 45 or whatever we want to term him as, that man has got enough money to see him through anything, right? There's a saying over here where we say that the term that isht sticks if you throw enough of it, right? In his case, not a chance. The man is made out of pure Teflon, right? That whatever is thrown at him is going to come sliding off, and he would fall in a isht pit and still come out smelling of roses. So when you looked at the tower card, I immediately went, right, that guy, even if he's bombed, exercise missile comes at the thing, he will leap out of the window and somebody will be underneath to stop his fall and protect him. And the thing is because he can pay the people to put the right spin on it. He will have, obviously, his own intelligence and the way that he's managed his media career and everybody that's been around him. But we've all got limits, I suppose. And the sense with him is that whatever he's got that next card above him. So I just think, I don't know this, but my feeling is that he's actually enjoying all of this. That there's people there that think, well, we're getting close to him now. We're going to derail him. We're going to dethrone him. We're going to depose him. And he's just sat there going, and he's just waiting for that power move. It's like, and this is what I'm going to end with. I've just thought, it's just come into my head. He's just about to play the trump card. And I'll leave it there.
It's interesting that because he looks so haggard. And he looks so worn out right now with everything that's been going on. As a matter of fact, somebody had caught him letting out one of the hugest sighs as the last day of the whole thing happened. And then you talk about the fact that he's got the money. That's the whole point of this trial. We seem to forget. It's hush money. So he's used money in ways that...
Stormy Daniels.
Yeah, well, you know. And Thor, I don't think you're doing a chart here on Stormy Daniels. That's for sure.
No chart on
We've been down that path already. So I mean, but where is the chart going? Are we doing Trump or you got?
We're going to take a look at Donald or 45's chart. Okay, let's look at 45's chart. Now, guess what? I got some news. You know, I'm maybe I'm going to be on a little bit of a different wavelength here with everybody. But there's potential in the chart. Let me tell you that he could see a few days behind bars. Now I don't know if we're going to see him in the orange jumpsuit. Maybe it's just a few days. Maybe it's just but let me show you for a moment here. And what I'm saying with astrology, remember everybody, this is potential. This doesn't necessarily mean this is going to for sure pan out. He's in a Venus period right now. If we look on the planetary timeline, Jupiter, Venus, but I'm more concerned about the acute period of Venus. If we look in the astrology chart, Venus is till, let's see, December sorry, December of 2022 to August of 2025. So he's well within this period. But let me show you the chart up here. Venus is in the 12th house of the chart. And the 12th house has to do with things like prisons, incarceration, being in seclusion, losses. At the very minimal, this could represent extreme losses due to all these lawsuits. I mean, if we don't see the prison, we could definitely see some sort of alienation, financial losses. But I mean, the 12th house, when someone's going through that period and they're going through a trial, it could represent, okay, this person's going to go into seclusion. That's why it typically can represent, it can represent monasteries, but it also can represent prisons, depending on the context of the question being answered. And there's potential. So there's potential there in the chart. I mean, I might be getting a little bit of a contrary view from everybody in here, but we might see a few days, even if it's symbolic. Who knows? Maybe this is going to just make him even more popular with his followers.
Because house arrest, though, would that be incorporated within that sort of?
I would say that. Yeah. It's a very
where he's
interesting
detained at sort of a Majesty's pleasure, as it would be over here, that he's under house arrest or under some sort of restriction.
Yeah, they could do that too. They could put you under house. Isn't there different ways that they could implement the sentence? And also, we have to keep this point of view. What if he gets convicted and then something happens where he gets it gets thrown out or disqualified or something like that? But house arrest would also be the 12th house. It would be the same. It's being in seclusion. It's being away from the public.
In other words, Venus in the 12th house means Trump could be in the big house, or at least being in his own house. And no matter how you slice it, the question is going to be 45 in the White House. But that's another topic for another time. I'm still having visions of 45 in a monastery. I don't know why. It's a lot.
I don't know if he can bring Stormy Daniels to the monastery, though.
You know what? There's so many sins going on there. We don't want to go there, do we?
So, warning triangle, this is going to get dirty.
I think it's too late for that.
Vows of celibacy. I'm just saying.
See, exactly. By the way, this show is for entertainment purposes, and we do hope you are entertained. As we try to avoid an X rating, we'll go to the next topic. We'll do something wholesome. We'll do something that has nothing to do with well, there you go, Mary Lou Retton. That's about as wholesome as we can get on this show today. And of course, the former Olympic star of gymnastics has been dealing with a mysterious illness. They're saying it's a rare form of pneumonia. She's been unable, supposedly, to pay her medical bills since the pandemic. Now, the reason I'm saying supposedly, according to my research on numerous websites, her estimated net worth is somewhere in the neighborhood of about $2 million. Now, they're saying at some point before the pandemic, her net worth was about $8 million. We don't know if that net worth went down because of the illness that she's been having. Now, the family decided to take out what would be considered a GoFundMe type account for donations. They raised nearly $500,000 in donations. Now, Retton and the family have taken a beating on social media over this because of the fact that, one, Mary Lou Retton had no health coverage, and two, because with revealing of her net worth, couldn't she afford medical coverage? Raises a lot of questions here, Annabelle.
So I do want to add to that while I'm shuffling here, hopefully not sloppy shuffling. So her daughters actually started the GoFundMe, and It was at a point where she was unconscious. Now, the gravity of her situation was quite grim. They did think they were going to lose her. They called her younger, I believe it was her younger daughter, was called back from university, and they said their goodbyes, which is really awful. Before she was put on a vent, she managed to improve enough that they could get her awake and take it from there. Now, having been a gymnast and having been a power gymnast, very much in the style of Mary Lou Retton, but not her caliber. I was a tremendous fan of hers. And I was so jealous that Bella Caroli was her coach. I always wanted to be coached by him, having been a fan of Nadia Comaneci and all of the months back in the day. So,
As you're laying out the cards, I'll stall a little longer and say, who is Nadia Comaneci married to nowadays?
oh my. I know, Mark,
Close.
no, what's his name?
Is he a gymnast?
He is, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
They have a gym together.
Yes, they do. Okay. Keep shuffling. I'll stall a little longer and say, Bart Connor. You were going Mark.
Connor. Bart Connor. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
So,
Caroli was the premier coach of his era, without a doubt, in gymnastics.
And I believe still does do some coaching.
Oh, wow. I did not know.
Yeah, I think he still coaches like on a like Coach Light. They broke the mold with that guy. But so I'm pulling a spread just to see if she's going to improve. Now I have some opinions. I feel a certain way about what's going on with her psychically. Unfortunately, I can't say a lot of those things on some of the social media channels because they're taboo topics. But I do think that this is not a mystery illness, but I think it is an illness that they are not uncovering the cause of it because it may have been a substance that was taken. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
Penny, thank you for being my voice there in the chat. So I do think, I feel a certain way, about that. And, to be sure, I'm on that team. So, I'm waiting to see what happens to me. But I'm going to pull up the card view. This is if she is going to improve, how she is going to do. And, strong, likable. One of the things when you are trained as an athlete, especially an Olympic level athlete like her, that's one benefit to your health later on. It's not so great for your joints. I can attest to that. But to your overall health, if you maintain some level of fitness, if you roll with the years, let's put it that way. You have a good disposition. She has a good disposition. She's going to try, but this Knight of Wands in reverse is kind of an unfolding. It's kind of a rolling backward. Time will tell. I think the amount of care that she's going to need is going to start to eclipse those funds. Now, I do want to say that GoFundMe in her most recent interview, she did say that the $500,000 that was collected, they would hang on to that, pay the medical bills only, nothing else, no extravagant vacations or, buying, Porsches or anything like that sitting in the driveway. They were going to pay the medical bills and then they were going to donate the remainder of the money to the American Lung Association. I don't think that is a wise move on her part. I think she should hang on to it. She is still on oxygen, which is so upsetting. It's really so upsetting. And again, it was a rare form of pneumonia. And the first time they did the scan of her lungs, it was all white. It was just all white, which is so alarming. I think that she is going to need care. I don't know if she's going to come off that oxygen, unfortunately. I think we're going to see this as a chronic condition that may not be resolved and may not be solved. Down here, possibly some investigation into this with some bigger brains and some doctors that may be able to offer some other remedies. I do think that there is going to be an attempt to use non-traditional methods of cleaning up the lungs, that kind of thing. I think she's going to explore some not holistic methods, but I think experimental methods. I think that's how debilitating it is. If you watch the latest interview, she has trouble catching her breath. So
yeah, it's a very good point, Annabelle. I saw that with Hoda Kotb on the Today Show, and to see her with having to be assisted with oxygen is because the image that we have of her is being such a dynamic, powerful person. To see her like this is heartbreaking. And of course, we send all of our best wishes to her as she tries to conquer this. Thor, have you done a chart on Mary Lou Retton by any chance?
Yes, I have a moon chart that I can pull up on Mary Lou
Please do.
Retton. Let me pull that up for everybody. Now, I just wanted to clarify with the panel. So is it she has pneumonia? Is that what the latest news was?
A rare form of pneumonia,
right?
Is what they're calling it.
So it's not a cancer or something like that. It's
Nope.
No, that
okay.
the C word has not been mentioned in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, I'm just curious, but as Annabelle was saying earlier, they said that she was literally saying her goodbyes on the phone to
She was unconscious. She was
yeah.
actually, I think, in a medically induced coma, and they called her daughter in to her one daughter was there, and I presume any paramour. I believe she's divorced. She did get divorced, just to be clear, and that was a financial devastation that happened during the pandemic as well. So that 8 million may have gone to the ex-husband, or a good portion of it may have gone to the ex-husband. So she was unconscious, and they were not expecting her to wake up.
Oh wow. Okay, so this is a grave situation.
Very grave.
This is very
Yes,
grave.
very
Okay,
grave.
so sometimes I like to get the context before I look at an astrology chart, the context of what's going on. That's why I wanted to clarify with everybody in the panel here. Now, when I look at the chart, it's a moon chart, so I don't have the planetary timelines, but we do have some transits that are happening. What I did notice with transiting Rahu and Ketu are in the sign of Pisces and the sign of Virgo. Oops, kind of move that. But what I wanted to point out is you'll notice the recent eclipse that happened on April 8th. Remember, I've been kind of beating this drum for the last few lives.
You've been saying that, Thor. The lingering
eclipse.
effects of this. It's interesting to hear that it still plays into every form of life in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, so the eclipse, it started on it was April 8th. Everyone remembers the Great American Eclipse, right? The path of totality went through North America, so it's extremely powerful. So we're looking at about 90 days, so that would be till July 8th that this eclipse is very powerful, very powerful. Then on March 26th, we just had Mars amplify the eclipse even more because that Mars crossed over the eclipse degree. You'll notice that Saturn is right there in her chart. So when you have natal planets, wherever eclipses take place, it really amplifies the energy. And, I've seen that Saturn in particular can represent really dense of like illness. When we think about like really bad karma, that's really what's triggered with Saturn. Now, by the way, when I'm talking about karma, there's no blame there. When we talk about karma, it's really neutral. But Saturn is like the really negative karmic debts that we owe in life. So when we see an eclipse happening right there in the chart, it's usually not really good news. So, and Saturn is also associated with what Annabelle was saying when we talk about chronic conditions. So something that's chronic. And we know the Rahu transit's going to be in the sign of Pisces till May of 2025. So this is a really difficult time. Now, I'm not going to sit here and make a prediction on if she's going to survive or not, because I think that's a little difficult to make. But I do want to say I do feel like this is a problem till May of 2025, and we're in a really acute phase right now of this being quite difficult. Saturn also represents difficulty acquiring resources for whatever's going on as well.
Well, let me pose this question then, because you talk about the timeline being May 2025. Let's say Mary Lou Retton, God with her, that we're at May 2025. She's still with us. Can you see maybe a little bit in the charts to say if she can get to this point, that maybe the charts are saying there could be a breakthrough, that she can maybe get out of the woods and potentially have a longer life and maybe less problems?
Astrologically speaking, and of course, we need to make sure she goes to the doctor on this, but astrologically speaking, I feel like it's a better place. So when Rahu goes back into the sign of Aquarius, because it's in Pisces, but then it's going to go backwards into the sign of Aquarius, I feel like it's a better house placement, and then we don't have Saturn there being triggered. Okay, so it could be that it's going to be a little bit of improvement there if she can hold on. With pneumonia, it's really hard to tell. Sometimes people make market improvements. Right. So over a week, somebody can make a remarkable improvement. So I'm going to say that I'm just going to give all of my thoughts and prayers over to Mary Lou Retton, of course.
Thor, we have a question in the comments here from Prima, who is a longtime fan of all of us.
Yeah.
She wants to know if that karma also applies to her family, who have to take care of her needs and look after her.
Yeah. Does karma apply to all her family? Yeah, because Yeah, karma, like if you had family members taking care of another family member, everyone's associated with that karma. So the person that needs to get taken care of, that maybe has the difficulty, they have the karma of whatever, maybe negative health or something like that. And then the family members that are assigned as caretakers, they might have a karmic debt that they're essentially paying back to that person, because usually there's some sort of offset from a previous lifetime. So maybe the roles were reversed in a previous lifetime. So maybe, maybe you were a caretaker of that person in a previous lifetime. Now in this lifetime, they're your caretaker. So there's definitely karma in all those kind of relationships.
You know what's interesting, Thor, is when you're bringing up karma, some of the comments that have been made on social media against the Retton family have said karma will come back and haunt you for what you're doing to raise money this way. I mean, is there, and not that I'm really downing them and for what they did, but on the basis of karma, do you feel that karma is going to be biting them in the butt because of that in any way, shape, or form?
Well, yeah, if you do anything with negative intent, so if there's an intention there, this is how you create karma. It's mostly through your intent, even though some of it is associated with your action. So if you're intending to, let's say you're intending to scam people, or you're intending to commit fraud, or you're intending to do this, then that's where the karma is associated. Let's say if you do something, but it's not intentional, like if you unintentionally harm somebody, the karma is less severe with that.
Okay. That fair assessment. It makes a lot of sense, because from everything we've been able to gather, the intent of the Retton family was not to harm, but to try to help. So I'm glad we were able to clarify that. And as I go to you, Rick, obviously you know who Mary Lou Retton was. And obviously we're not sitting here thinking to yourself that, okay, you're a man who goes on feel. You're a man who may not even look at the cards on this one, just based on the conversation that we're having and the information you're digesting. What is your sense on Mary Lou Retton?
I've got to be very, very careful on here. So you're going to notice for the first time ever that I'm going to slow my delivery down, and I'm going to take the humor side out of it. And I'm addressing sort of feedback that we got on some of the videos that we put out recently. I am very opinionated, right? I do not shy away from making the controversial statement if I have to. However, on this program, we are restricted about certain things that we cannot and can say. If you want my true evaluation on what the cause is, you would have to contact me in a different way. But for the purposes of working with this, let's deal with the fact of that there's somebody out there, a poor soul, that's ill, right? So going based on the feelings there from one human to another, the question was asked at the beginning about the financial aspects of it. Right, here's where it splits for me. If she's got the funding, or the family's got access to that amount of money, then she should pay. Right, no bones about that. She should pay if they've got the funding. In regards to whether the family should have done the GoFunding aspect of it, this is a bit of a weird one for me, because when I was looking at the cards and listening to the conversations, I was thinking, I wonder if there's a bit of a psychic vibration to that as well. Because as we were going through the cards, my thought is, I'm not a particularly, I don't talk about health a lot because I'm not qualified, but I have feelings about it. So my thought is that she will be okay, but she won't be the person that she was. So that will limit her income capability. So with the benefit of a little bit of foresight there, have they put this together to support her through what I feel will be an extensive care package, that maybe she will have to have full-time care, or stuff to help her breathe and things like that are out of the realms of your everyday expenses. And if you've got nothing coming in and everything going out, and she can trade on her reputation and whoever she was, because this is the truth, I have no idea who she is. Right, I've absolutely no idea who it is. So I'm going from the human aspect of it. If she comes through, and like Thor said, I wouldn't want to speculate on it. My feeling is she will come through it, but at a reduced capacity. She's going to have to live with the impacts of whatever that thing is, wherever it's come from. and it's not going to be an easy path going forward for her. So as a spiritualist, as a healer, my hopes is that she finds a way along that path, and people, whether you like her, whether you agree with everything that's going on around it and what caused it, just send her out some love and some just some compassion, because if it was one of your nearest and dearest, you wouldn't want to see him going through it. So if anybody wants to put a comment on there that I fear being sued because I made a comment, right, that's bullshit. I don't. I just want to steer away for other people. So all I'm going to keep on that line is I send out my love, my compassion, my healing energies to her. And if karma is indeed forthcoming to somebody, well, they'll have to deal with that. That's not my circus, not my monkeys.
Well said. And we go on to the next topic as we get into something maybe a little less intense and potentially, I'm going to say comedic in a sense. American Riviera Orchard. Now, this is a little, let's say, business venture of Meghan Markle. Now, in this business venture, here's what I've been able to decipher so far. That if you go on the Instagram account, guys, has about 616,000 followers. Yet not one post. All right, you're supposed to be selling a product. Now, to have a product, you would need, bear with me now, a product. We don't have a product. Where is the product? It's sort of like Seinfeld going, who are these people? Where do they come from? We're at a point where I can understand the lackluster reception that this company, American Riviera Orchard, is getting. But there's also a lot of incomplete information. Now, I'm about to defer to the expert in, because we'll never be royals. Royals, Annabelle.
Royals.
Thank you very much. First off, what exactly is this company supposed to be marketing?
Nobody knows.
Okay, so we're not the only ones in the dark here. Okay.
No, we're not. And you know, to be sure, when they put in for the licensing, what they put in for was dog treats, sundry goods, linens. It was kind of all over the place.
Oh, wait a minute. We actually have had a couple of stores that are kind of on that playing field. So
I will say it did have kind of a William and Sonoma feel, which I loved William and Sonoma.
No, that's a good comparable. If that's the goal, then it's a good comparable.
Right. But in comparison, Nacho, the polo player who is good friends with Prince Harry, his wife has just started a lifestyle brand. And she's sticking to tablescapes. So, you know, if you want to put a finer point on your products, I mean, and I think our panel, this is a good plug for our panel right now. Rick and Thor both read tarot cards, but they both lean into different things than I do. I lean into reading all kinds of cards, but we are all psychics. I think Thor is the only astrologer here. But I know enough to be dangerous, you know.
Well, basically, from a layman's standpoint, I'm going, okay, I have the astrologer, we have the psychic, and we have the tarot card reader, and then we got the dumbass in the corner who's trying to keep up with the three of you. That's another story altogether. But I get your point. Your point being this, like, you have similarities, but each one of you has something that's distinctively different.
Right.
That makes you marketable in the sense of, here's my expertise, here's my expertise, here's my expertise.
Correct. So I think when you go into branding and something about Meghan Markle, when they first escaped from the royal family, the first thing I said was go back to the TIG when she was a single lady, or maybe when she was married to her first husband. She had a lifestyle website that had about 2 million followers.
Whoa.
And it had a good following. It basically was travel, food, wine. It was, you know, kind of a luxurious place you could go, and you could link to products from there. The expectation of this American Riviera Orchard, for those that don't know, the Montecito area is called the American Riviera. So she kind of jumped on that. You know, it's just a very disjointed kind of presentation. It just really was not straightforward. So she sent out, initially they launched the Instagram account, the comments were turned off. It was nine panels that all made up the logo of American Riviera Orchard.
But I'll stand by what I said before. There's still not one post that describes what this business is all about.
No, she sent out she sent out a number of jars of strawberry jam in a basket of lemons with a piece of crockery that is not being sold by her, as far as we know.
But that also, forgive me interrupting, Annabelle, that also raises a lot more questions, because by that package, you can take it in about 5 different directions what the business could be. For all we know, she's opening a B&B. I don't know.
Correct. And there is Flamingo Estates, which it seems that it was kind of built on. Flamingo Estates is another actual location that has a really cool marketing process. They take bee boxes and put them on celebrity properties so that the bees can collect the pollen at the different foliage and flowers that are at their estates. And then they market that honey as Will Ferrell's honey. You know, it's really a cool idea.
Celebrity honey coming to a store near you.
Exactly. Everybody wants to have a very cool niche market. It just seems.
Yeah, but did you see Rick Paul's reaction before? It's like, really? I think that said a lot right there when he reacted to that. Come on.
So essentially, she sent out allegedly 50 jars of jam to influencers and people of note. Grumpy Sapper saying it's allegedly $300 per jar. We don't even have a price.
Wow.
Yeah,
that better be the best jam I've ever had in my life, and I better get high off of it for $300.
Well, you know, it is coming from California, so you don't know.
Yeah, sure. Well, yeah. Does it come with a bottle of champagne? That's the other question.
With the inflation of food, I wouldn't doubt it.
So exactly. So we have only seen a handful of people post up about this jam. You know, there's questions. The label was coming off in some of the Instagram posts. There was, you know, she picked some oddball people like Chrissy Teigen, who has a dubious reputation. Nacho, the polo player, was.
Wait. Chrissy Teigen, she looks like she hasn't ate anything in 3 years, and you're getting an opinion on her on jam? What?
That too. Apparently, she ate it on crusty bread with brie and bacon.
Crusty bread.
Hey, well, look, Thor, think about it. It's jam. I mean, crusty bread is a good vehicle for that.
What do you put jam on? Just your toast,
crusty
right?
bread. Hello.
Crusty bread. Yeah. So we've seen nothing at this point. There's been no acceleration of this brand. There's nothing posted on there. You know, if I were a Meghan Markle fan, I would be tired of waiting. So I'm going to post some Lenormand on this one. So if my colleagues would like some tarot cards on it, I will do that as well. But I want to mix it up for people a little bit. This is just the future of and I'm going to pull up the card view so you guys can see them coming down. I don't want to be accused of sorting my cards or anything like that. So we've got Cross, Anchor, Cavalier, the Birds, Snake, and Child.
If you put airplanes up there, at least I could have gone REM on you. Birds, snakes, and airplanes.
Flowers, Sid, and Fish. So Lenormand is a little bit different. Whereas Tarot is very pictorial, Lenormand is very verbal, and we can actually make sentences out of the cards. So I'll have a class, a like 2-day class that's coming up soon on this. I have a lot of people that have been asking about it. So what we want to do is read from the past to the future, past to the future, past to the future. So this is our future. This is our past. Okay. The cross is not really a fortuitous card. It is a burden. It's trying to make something happen. It's hanging on to things, dragging them across surfaces, those kinds of things. We have the burden that ties us, and then we have to move into the future with the Cavalier. The anchor is tying us. The Cavalier is the messenger. This was the escape from the burden of the royal family or the burden of the reputation of the royal family. We move down into the semi-present, which is the birds, people talking about things, but they're talking about snakes. The snake is a bad female spirit. This is someone who is slimy, sketchy. They're doing things to their own benefit. And then we have the child here. I will let you know that there was a recent report that Meghan and Harry may be bringing out the children because they are ready to tour the world and spread goodwill. So this may be the negative talk about the woman. We've got to bring the kids in. Cue the kids. Down here, we have flowers. This was a great idea. This was a great idea to start with. Again, I said a long time ago when they left, she should redo the TIG. This idea should have been done back in 2020, 2021. She should have launched it then. She should have said, I'm going to show everybody how to be royal on a budget. We're not going to call ourselves royal. We're going to call ourselves the American Riviera Fun Set or something. I don't know.
Fortune. There you go.
So the good thing that this was gets cut off, but here's where it gets interesting. Fish in Les Normands is fortuitous. This is good things to come.
Oh, okay.
Wait. Time out.
Whoa.
Yeah, I understand everybody's excitement, but remember, me being the dumbass kind of going, what's she going to do? Sell fish? Explain.
So fish are plenty. We all know that
Plenty of fish. Oh,
yes, plenty of fish. Well, not that plenty of fish, but plenty of fish. Water that is fruitful and full of food is full of fish. We're going to get all of the riches from fish. The man who has the fish is the wealthiest. So the scales are shiny, like jewels or like coins, that kind of thing. So the fish always represents good thing. And the fish is interesting because he is pointed backward. So we may be losing money here, but I think she's leveraging on this terrible reputation, because if we go diagonally, terrible reputation, craftily, like the snake, uses it to her benefit and then makes money. I don't know.
Well, look, if she's putting out high-end salmon, I mean, she's going to lose money at first, but then eventually make it. I mean,
I don't know if she set up the registration with salmon. Just for my friends here that don't read Les Normands on the reg like me, I'm going to throw down some tarot cards on top of it and just see what are we looking at for the lifetime of ARO. Oh, we get the death card.
It's over. We don't need any more cards. This business is done.
But wait.
Whoa,
There's more.
But wait, there's more.
Annabelle, this sounds like an
and
infomercial now. Yeah, the company's about to die, but wait, there's more.
As long as we're not talking about ShamWows right now.
Wait a minute, that did have some success though. Let's put
listen, I had ShamWows. I loved it. And after that guy punched that hooker in the mouth, I bought more ShamWows. I'm sorry, I just did.
Will we see Meghan Markle on QVC?
Will we see the guy from ShamWow endorse the company?
I honestly think that the QVC is not a bad thing for her, but she's got to do it in a different way. Thor, I'm going to throw this to you. You read tarot. What's your take on this? Because I'm seeing alarm bells too, but it's kind of wild. It's a roller coaster.
You know what though? Like, okay, so the death card, in the beginning, it seems ominous. Remember, the death card, it represents the end of a pattern. It's not necessarily doom and destruction, but we got the 10 of Pentacles there upright. 10 of Pentacles is all about lasting wealth. And I mean, could this be everyone's expectations getting shattered? I mean, we got the Tower card there. People assume that this is going to fail for some reason, but what if this goes viral? I mean, what if she is the next ShamWow of Jam?
ShamWow.
Anything's possible, but Thor, let me throw this at you because you were mentioning her on QVC. The fear I would think that could come out of this is, if you remember back in the day when Cher did an infomercial, the backlash she got, and later on admitted in interviews, I did a smarmy thing. Now, it took a while for Cher to recover from that. She wound up doing the movie Moulin Rouge and kind of moved forward. But in a weird way, wouldn't the backlash of her all of a sudden, here's the princess doing QVC, is that beneath her? You get where I'm going with that.
Yeah, but there's a few angles that she could take on this. I mean,
please, what do you think, please?
Okay, so so if she wants to play off, let's say, Meghan and Harry, maybe if we think Prince Harry's probably a part of this, if they want to play off that they're the couple that represents the people, and they want to have this lifestyle brand that's reaching out to, they could play on this populist kind of movement and play on that tone as well. So they could appear populist. Like, we want to have this brand. There's other stars that have launched brands at chains like Target and stuff like that. Like,
that's true.
Like, if we think of like Martha Stewart, or we think of other people that they're very big names, and then they just kind of launched these lines that were directed towards the general public.
I was about to say, give you a couple examples just in the liquor world. When you take somebody like Lorraine Bracco from The Sopranos, launching a brand of wines that if she actually went from high-end liquor store to liquor store across the country to promote the wine, and it worked. And she was not looked at in a bad way because she was actually putting her stamp on the product. Maybe that's the angle Meghan Markle has to take and say, well, if I'm going to do this, maybe I don't go QVC, but maybe I have to go market to market, go high end to high end, find my audience, and do it that way.
Maybe she's got a lot of, she does have. I know Meghan Markle, and this is anecdotally from a lot of my subs and the followers of this show. She's got a lot of people, detractors in, say, the United Kingdom. A lot of people that don't like her that much, but I feel like she's got quite a bit of support in the United States. Now I think it's half and half, but I do feel like she's got a large enough market where she could. I mean, you just got a market of several million people, and you can hit a grand slam there.
It's true. Well, since you brought up the UK, Rick, we got to go to you on this.
Sat here, and after the seriousness of last time, right, I'm sure I've got some sort of form of Tourette's or something like that, because I'm sat here and there's this urge to just go and just jump through the screen. Right, all the time that you guys have been talking, and it's come across professionally, and it's come across really, I'm just going, what the hell am I hearing? So what I've got going through my head at the moment, let's not even go to cards just yet. I've got the theme from Sesame Street. So I think that her best move is to pal up with Elmo. Because today's product, children, today's program is brought to you by the words car and crash. Because the woman is just an absolute nightmare. And like I said in the beginning segment, if you throw enough ished around, some of it's going to stick. Oh my God, there isn't a person on this planet that will convince me in any way, shape, or form that $300 for something that you stick on a bit of toast and has gone in seconds is worth that investment. The woman is an absolute walking nightmare. She wants to get some panelist or something there to just sit and record her words and just put it into this autobiography of things that she's attempted and not achieved. She's like this bad smell. She just wants to go flush down the toilet. And to get me wrestling analogy in, as I like to do, she needs to get sent to OVW and be repackaged, because we need to bring her back as something that's actually got some credibility. All of this about bringing the kids out. Oh my God, what is wrong with the woman? Get the net. They don't want you. They don't want none of your crappy products. They don't want to have you plastered all over the screen. Us over here, we'd be grateful if she never comes back to Britain. And I feel like I'm speaking for quite a lot of people here. Oh my God. Yeah, Bert and Ernie, come on, get yourself together. Let's get a promo put together and see if we can sell some $300 jars of jam. My word,
Rick,
the world is
no
going
give
nuts.
backsies. No give backsies. She's yours now.
Right. Oh, the world is nuts. But looking at that card, and just very briefly to pick up on a little bit of seriousness, the death card, like has been pointed out in there, is not literal death. It is that end of that process, and it's positive, powerful transformation. But for me, that even if that is the case in its literal case with the Ten of Pentacles, I noticed a comment that was actually in the comments that I agree with. Maybe it'll be a payoff from the royal family to shut a gob. You know,
Perhaps.
stop embarrassing us with all of this stupidity. Here, we'll give you enough money. We'll keep you in the style that you're accustomed to, but just keep below the radar because you're a walking nightmare.
So, gentlemen, I did put up Anna Perkins' comment there. I'm guessing that any request for a royal warrant or appointment to His Majesty the King would be refused. Now, that's something that I did think that she was intending. I think American Riviera Orchard, she was intending to create her own semi-royal warrant. And I thought that originally she was going to be putting products on there and putting her stamp of approval on it. This is Princess Meghan approved, which she is trying to go by that name. Apparently, a lot of her followers do use Princess Meghan. I do think that that was the original intent. Trying to get those products when you're a little bit of box office poison, it's kind of hard. So that's all I have to say about that.
And now the final word from Elmo. Elmo says car crash.
Let's a car crash with her. We're triggering Harry.
All right. I know, Annabelle, you have one more thing to do here with the Nigerian First Lady. So please explain this one to everybody.
Oh, boy.
So I think we're all aware that there was a faux royal trip to Nigeria. They traveled there in a private capacity. I'm just getting all of our followers up to speed. There was an attempt to meet with King Charles, but that didn't happen. Probably wisely on King Charles's part, because it would have seemed like he was endorsing this and sending them off as working royals. So they did kind of the whole thing, and Harry inspected the troops, and allegedly the military brought them over. The Minister of Defense was in charge of them. It was a very, very odd thing. Meghan Markle had a dubious, I think that's the second time I said that today, dubious wardrobe. She actually had a nip slip at one point that was recorded. The country is predominantly very, very Christian and Muslim. Probably not the best look. She went to a school on the first outing in what can only be described as a very peach, naked looking dress. From a distance, she did look like she wasn't wearing anything. Her back was quite open, a lot of spaghetti straps, thigh high slits, that kind of thing. Just was not really appropriate.
I was about to say, in case you're keeping score, that's the second time today we've mentioned peach. Go ahead.
It's a peachy day today.
Peachy.
So the dress, the anticipated dress in Nigeria is much more demure and covered up, but no less flashy. It really is a fabulous kind of couture that they have going on in their country. So I don't know why she did not embrace that. Second or third day of the trip, she was gifted a skirt. She was also gifted a cloth to wear over herself. So I think the message was given. Now, the lovely First Lady, Remi Tinubu, was asked to have an audience with Meghan Markle. They ran it by the consulate, I believe, and the consulate said, yeah, they're not there in a professional capacity for the British Crown. So the meeting was declined. It was spun in some articles that the First Lady really wanted to meet with Meghan Markle, but I don't think that that was the case. I've gotten that in other readings that it was Meghan and Harry that reached out to the First Lady. After they left, the First Lady gave quite the speech about being demure and having some covered up aspect to your clothing. She literally mentioned emulating Hollywood actresses and questioned why Meghan Markle would come with her nakedness. That's an actual quote, and said that it questioned her coming to the country to seek out her African origin. So it was quite the speech. It was not very aggressive, but I think that there were some subtones there that need some examination. So
there's still one subtone that she doesn't understand. Meghan Markle was an actress, so it explains a lot. Maybe.
Yeah, it was a little loud. So what we're going to pull in this is, what did the First Lady of Nigeria really feel about Meghan Markle?
Can we say all this though? There's the question.
I think we can.
Okay. Why do I get the feeling the word for this segment is ish? I-S-H. There's a lot of ish about to come out.
There's some ish that's about to come out. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Show the ish. Show it.
Pulling up the cards.
There you go.
Gentlemen.
Where's the ish?
Tower.
Yeah.
The tower again. I'm telling you, some hot cards today.
Hot cards is right. So, and Penny also did say that. She did say this is not the Met Gala. She actually said that. So, First Lady of Nigeria, chef's kiss to everything that you said. This Two of Pentacles, when we talk about tarot, 1 is getting a concept, 2 is coming together with powers, and 3 is developing a team to make those powers come to fruition, and 4. But here with the pentacles in the 2, this is really drawing a line between the 2 lifestyles. Let's put it that way. One lifestyle being the California celebrity actress, actor, former prince lifestyle, and one being a wholesome, decent lifestyle. I do think that Madam did create a dichotomy between the 2. Her judgment, having this judgment card in reverse, is absolutely a condemnation of the way that Meghan conducted herself in Nigeria. I don't think that they're going to be able to come back, quite frankly. Temperance card in reverse. Yeah, we're seeing that she did not tone it down. She did not get the message. No one gave, the message was sent. She just didn't pick it up. Phone was ringing, but nobody answered it.
Annabelle, I was going to say, I have an intuition when I was looking at those cards that there's a possibility that Meghan may have been trying to use this as a political statement of rights or something along those lines. I'm getting this sense that she's not ignorant about the customs in the country. I don't know why. I was just looking at that reading and that intuition came to me.
Sure.
She was trying to push the envelope.
I think there were more subtle ways to do that.
Yeah.
Being a woman, knowing that you are supposed to dress accordingly for certain events, for certain things. Here's an example. My daughter was in ROTC. We did an ROTC ball every year that she was in high school. And one of the rules was all of the ladies had to have their shoulders covered during the dinner. We would have dinner before, and then the prom would be after for the kids, and they would stay there till 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And once the prom started, they could remove their shoulder coverings. This is in America. We have a lot of liberties here. I'm not wearing a hijab or anything like that. Following the rules is really a good plan when you're at home in your home country. Going to another country, as we know with Nicki Minaj, and not following the rules can get you in trouble a little bit. So in this case, I think if she was pushing the envelope politically, Thor, I think she pushed it too far. I think she really went there and said, I'm just going to dress the way that I dress, and everyone's going to like it or lump it, which is really unfortunate, because I think it was a bad look, not so much for Americans, but truly for the subculture that is Meghan Markle, that kind of desperate, cloying, trying to get up the greasy pole kind of actress, or gold digger. I said gold digger.
Yeah, you did. I'm not even gonna, what's there to say to that except, Thor, do you want to elaborate a little more on where you were going?
So, I don't have the astrology chart of the First Lady of Nigeria, but I did want to bring out, because I was looking at the cards, know that Prince Harry and Meghan, at least when I watched the Netflix documentary, and as much as I know about them, I think they're trying to portray themselves as somewhat progressive. Am I right on that? So, you know, a lot of times people will try to push it in countries that are seen as more conservative. Like they might try to make a statement, you know, for different political purposes. I think that Meghan in the card spread and what I was able to intuit out of that, I feel like she might have been pushing the envelope, because I feel like Meghan, I do feel like, despite what everyone says, I do feel like she's intelligent. Okay. Now she might be very self-centered. She might be very focused on self, but I do feel like she knows they were well briefed on what kind of country they were going into with what kind of customs, what kind of standards. I mean, it would be like if you went to a Middle Eastern country as a woman and you didn't research whether you need to wear a hijab or not. I mean, that would be pretty ignorant of just to show up without that, knowing that there could be some. And by the way, everyone, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. But when you go to another country, it is kind of expected that you're supposed to respect the customs of that country, whether or not you disagree. I think she's trying to push the envelope. I think they're trying to make a political statement with this. And I'm not sure, and maybe Annabelle knows on this, was it Prince Harry or Meghan? Did they endorse Biden in this last election, or?
They did not by name, but
Okay.
they did a infomercial commercial, I guess you would call it, where they were sitting on the bench and stressed that this was the most important election, that it was critical that we get out there and vote to make a change. So the subtext again was to vote for
to
Biden
make
and
a
not for
change
45.
because 45 was in at the time.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
okay.
So there was some of that. And I hope I didn't cut you off before when you were talking about
No.
the politics of her dress. I get excited about fashion and the
Yeah.
royal. But I do think you're onto something with that 10 of Pentacles at the bottom, because I do think that was trying to change some foundations, really coming with her own morality and her own fashion morality, if you will, and just saying, yeah, let's do this. So, you know, I do think that it was a bit awkward how she conducted herself in terms of that. And I think the First Lady not meeting with her really does say a lot. I think it was a good move on the First Lady of Nigeria. And I think some people may have been a little disappointed about that.
Rick, last word.
I've actually seen part of this interview, which is unusual for me. And the lady prime minister of that country came across as very articulate, very forthright about what happens in a country, what the standards are, what they expect. They're aware of what's going on around the world, but they stick to their standards. So without feeling like I'm ganging up on the miss that's gone over there, I'm not going to argue with you, Thor, that there's probably intelligence there, but she really needs to fire her PR firm if she's gone over there based on, right, because she must have said what the itinerary was about or what her ideas were about or where they were going to go around there, and then told them that she was going to offend people by her dress sense. She was going to refuse to take food off the kids when they were coming round. Everything that you would expect a member of the royal family to do and then indulge in their what they're trying to think of the right word, but their traditions. There's an expectation, and she's clawing and clamoring to try and get some recognition. Now, whether it's right or wrong, the way that country handles their attitude towards women, they've got it down, basically, what they expect. And for somebody who's a no mark to just come into that country and expect the world to turn around just because she thinks that it's okay for women to express themselves, well, yeah, maybe it is. But at least pay attention. Know your room, darling. Start to have a look round what's going on around you. Get this airheaded sense out of there and stop doing all of these stupid things. And then people might start to take you seriously. People might actually give you what you're looking for if you act in a credible manner and be more aware of what's actually going on in your environment and the people that are around you, and you don't treat them like turds, then people will actually back her up and help her. Because like you say, I don't believe that she's thick. I've not got that sense about her at all. But if I was like mentoring her in any sort of way, just going, just back it up a minute, right? I get what you're saying, but just calm it down. It's almost like she needs a guiding hand of either a father figure or a mother figure to just go, right, you're just getting a little bit ahead of yourself here. You know, it's not your sphere, with all due respect. You know, I love you and your sense of progression, but just back it down a little bit. You're going on a bit too full on. And there's that real sense of biting off more than you can chew. It's like this massive sandwich that she's having a bite on. She's going to lead the revolution and everybody's going, whoa, nah, I've got to stop you there. So she's actually proving to people what a lot of people think about her. Whereas I'm just going, if somebody could advise her a little bit better and she would listen, then she wouldn't have as many problems as she's got at the moment. But my final word on it is, if you're looking for refuge in somebody's house, don't crap on the doorstep.
Honestly. And just to add to that, Rick, there is some conversation that they do not have PR right now.
Okay.
Yeah, it seems that the last agency that took them on is no longer handling them. So I don't know if that's
either
a sign
ignorant or naive, isn't she?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what the bottom line of this whole thing is? The Nigerian princess will not be buying into American Riviera Orchard. That's pretty much what it boils down to. No, I think it's pretty much a no. Panel, we're out of time. I know we got quick hits and everything, but give me one quick hit and then we got to get out of here. Pick one.
All right. So Princess Catherine of Wales, or Catherine, Princess of Wales, has been spotted out and about on royal property. There are no pictures of this, but she was spotted by sources. So is this a good sign? Are we getting better? What's going on?
Give me some cards. You're going to give me what, 2 or 3?
I'll give you 3.
All right. I want 3. Are we going to be in the tower again? Is the 3 of Swords going to show up again? As I build the drama. Yeah, exactly.
As you build the drama. You build the drama well there, Captain Rob. All right, so we got the 2 of Pentacles, the Judgment in reverse, and we've got a 10 of Pentacles. I'm going to say this looks like a really positive reading for her. They're trying to turn the ship on that 2 of Pentacles. The Judgment, we're going to get weird judgments from everybody out there. But that 10 of Pentacles says, hey, we're up, we're at them, we're getting some vitamin D outside, and things are looking good.
We like vitamin D. Vitamin D is very helpful to everything. The soul, the skin. Well, not too much vitamin D in the skin. You don't want to get too sunburned. Thor, put on your SPF 50 and tell me what you think.
Well, judging on the cards here, I feel like this is really good news. I feel like there could be a lot of recovery. I feel like it's a slow recovery, though, and we're still not out of the danger zone. So I do want to mention that. I still feel like we're in the danger zone. We got to watch things closely, but it's really good news to hear that she's up and about.
Rick, for you, it's SPF 100. You're like me. We burn too easily. What do you think?
Oh, well, I can't be too controversial on this one because I fear getting sued by the royal family, who
exactly,
you know, I'm close friends with. So I'm being a little bit sarcastic there, but I'm looking at that, and it's kind of still up in the air, I feel, and I'm with Thor on that one, that it is progressive, it is sort of, but we're not out of the woods yet. But when I'm seeing that 10 of Pentacles there, that fills me with hope there that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And for me, and I found this today personally, that when you're in that sort of frame of mind where you're a bit bogged down or you're poorly or you're tired, being out in nature, just being around that energy and around that vibration is uplifting in itself. And I think nature provides its best medicine for you, for thought, mind, body and soul. So for me, I'm just going to end that part of it by just sending my best wishes out to her, from one human to another. I know I've already said that today, and whatever's going on there, I am not being neutral here. I'm just being a caring individual. Make the most of it, because it doesn't happen very often, guys.
It's a very positive vibe to go out on. I know there would have been other quick hits, but during the week, Annabelle, will these quick hits come up in little vignettes here on PNR?
Absolutely. So I think we're going to be talking about Nicki Minaj this week. Lady Gaga, perhaps she's got a lot to say about the election. With the 45 situation, I think we're going to have a lot of stuff going on with him. So I'm going to talk to my colleagues about what kind of vignettes we're going to, or what kind of featurettes we're going to do. We're also dipping into the shorts. We're going to try an experiment with shorts a little bit more. So you guys might be getting some quick hits during the week, a few cards here and there, maybe a face will pop up. But, 60 seconds or less, we're going to try and give you a little snapshot of the news.
Look forward to reconvening next week and see if my over-under on June 6th actually holds up. Remember, Annabelle has predicted June 4th that the jury will reconvene with a verdict. What will happen?
Would you like the results of the poll?
Oh, please. What's everybody thinking real quick before we sign off?
So June 4th is 31%. June 6th is 31%. So we're going to have to arm wrestle for that one. Today is another 31%. So I don't know if we want to arm wrestle everybody.
Wow.
OJ style divination. Oh, I'm sorry, Thor.
It's evenly split, it sounds like.
Yeah. That's kind of scary.
OJ style deliberation, which would go into months, is 6%. So
6%, yeah.
Yeah, so we it looks like everybody thinks it's going to happen pretty quickly, which is a good sign.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. It may be top of mind when we reconvene next week. Panel, as always, a pleasure. I look forward to being back here. Same bat time, same bat channel. 1:15 Eastern Standard Time, 10:15 Pacific, 6:15 London time. And for Annabelle, for Thor Sandalwood, and for Rick Paul, I'm Rob Acampora. We will see you next week in the future. Take care.